Brad,
All right.
one of the, one of the biggest contracts I ever signed, guys. I did a workshop that 2 people showed up for. They paid $47 a piece, and this is back in the probably 10 or 15 years ago. It was a 2-hour workshop on one of my books, one of my previous books, and I gave them 2.5 hours. And one of them was a CEO of a $40 million company, a woman. I actually coached her daughter as a high school basketball coach. Her daughter played for me, and she was a CEO of a $40 million company. She said, come see me tomorrow. I went and saw her the next day. We signed a $450,000 contract. And it all happened because of, I didn't cancel the workshop because there were only 2 people there. And so, I have a saying, because I go places and sometimes people apologize and say, well, there should be more people here. And I'm like, the people who are here are the right people. And the people who are not here are the wrong people. And that's okay. So it doesn't bother me at all, Bruce. You guys are in the middle of season, and I certainly get some of you are in season and all those type of things. And so, but although I would say to you, and if I can be blunt, because I coach a lot of top people don't have in season and out of season. Okay. They have one season, and it is always on, and they don't gear up for it, and they don't wind down from it. It's somebody's asking me today what I did to recession proof a business. And I said, I treat every day like I'm in a recession. Right. I go to bed tired. I wake up hungry. I don't prospect any differently today than I did when we were booming a year and a half ago. Is I literally treat every day as if I'm dead broke. And that has served me very well. Go to bed tired, wake up hungry. It all goes to zero at midnight. There comes a time when winter asks what you did all spring and summer. And the reason that's important is because money is all relevant. I thought I had a lot of money until I started building a $7 million building in downtown Nashville for a new greatness factory. And then you figure out that you need more money, right? And that the money you have that you thought was a lot of money ain't enough money. So money is all relative to the size of goals you have. The real question is, do you make enough money for you to fulfill your purpose? Because it does take money to fulfill purposes. And a lot of people don't think about money that way. So whatever you're called to do, ever how big it is that you're supposed to do it, do you generate enough money to be able to do it? Or is money always a problem when you try to go pursue a dream because you don't have enough money? That's the way I think about money, right? It's an exchange of energy. It's just a piece of paper, exchange between people that have problems and solutions. So, but the bigger the goals are, the more money you're going to need. And I was trying to put this in perspective. They paid Nick Saban when he first came to Alabama $32 million. And all of the people in Alabama had a fit because he was the highest paid state employee in the state of Alabama. At 32 million, that was 8 million a year for 4 years in his first contract. In the first year, they generated $95 million of revenue. And it was up about 30 or 40 million from what they did the year before. And they would not have done that if they had not hired Nick Saban. So in the first year, they paid for all 4 years of his salary in the first year. And so it's all relative to the size of problem you're solving and how valuable your skill set is to solve that problem.
All right, let me take that pause there for a second and introduce you to everybody, because I know you, and obviously Eric and Robin know you, but I've been introducing the concept of you to my group. I want to tell you who's here with us. We've got a mixture of my networking group called Trusted Advisors Group. So they're still coming on board. And then I invited some other people that I know that I feel could benefit from hearing you and your message. So those of you who don't know, I've been a protege of Coach Burt's now for probably a year and a half, maybe. It was May of 21. I saw Coach speak, and as you'll hear him say about flipping the switch, and we're going to talk about that later, is there's something in me that 35 years of experience and having listened to Zig Ziglar's and Brian Covey's and Brian Tracy, Stephen Covey and Brian Tracy and all the sales books that I had in the 80s and 90s, and always kept my saw sharp. I'm like, this dude's lighting my world up, and I need to know more about him. So just hearing him speak that very first time, you were at SWAT, Coach, in April, I think, of 21, when people were barely going out with COVID. And I begged, borrowed, and pleaded to get money together to go to Coach's next event. And and the rest is history. I've done a tremendous amount of work with him. I'm on his weekly calls, and he's in the process of introducing a new book on Pray Drive and Flip the Switch, which I want to give him an opportunity to talk about. But my group, my trusted advisor group, we're working on Person of Interest. And so that was kind of the lead in of the ask, was to get you to come talk to my group about Person of Interest a little bit, and then segue into the tie-in of Pray Drive, because they do definitely go hand in hand. And so as people are trickling in, we'll keep it going. You'll have to put the chat back again for the Flip the Switch link as new people enter. So we'll get it back out to them before everybody goes. And I'm recording this, so for those who didn't attend today, we'll get them the link as well. But so, Coach, I just want to thank you. If for those who don't know, Coach was on my podcast, one of my first guests. We did a great session there and talked as well. So some of the people here have heard it, but I really just want to give you an opportunity to speak to the crowd, and let's talk about some Person of Interest highlights, why we're reading the book, how people can correlate that to what they're doing, and if they're not doing those initiatives, what they can start doing. And then we're going to take some questions. I asked people to prepare questions for you, and then we'll segue over to the new book and Flip the Switch. So
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to say, Person of Interest has generated about $5 million of revenue for me. And it hasn't generated $5 million by me selling the book, because the book's $10. What I try to teach people is that the book doesn't make a lot of money. The concept makes money, because the concept attracts people. And I had a business coach. So I was a basketball coach, a high school basketball coach for a decade. And I kind of worked at a place that had never won a championship. And I was always fascinated by inner engineering people and helping people go from A to B in their life, and helping them find their unique skills and talents. And somewhere along the way, I had a business coach about 27 years old, and he said, before you become known, learn to position by concept. Learn to create incredible concepts that people are attracted to. And when I stumbled upon writing Person of Interest, it was because I had a problem. I only write a book because I have a problem, or I think other people have a problem. And the purpose of the book is to help them solve a problem. And I believe money changes hands when problems are solved. Okay. And that's really what I say in the book, is that you're not in the business of tax planning or cruise planning. You're really in the business of transformation. And transformation is taking something from a low thought of value to something of a high thought of value, or it's taking a person who is confused and bringing them clarity. It's taking something that's complicated and making it simple. Okay. And so when this guy said, I've never forgotten, he said, before you become known, learn how to create concepts that attract people to you. And so 3 years into growing a business, I retired at 31 years old from being a high school basketball coach after building this kind of national powerhouse. And I started a business. And what people didn't teach me was how to grow that business. And so I was calling on people. I didn't really have a selling system. I didn't have a good follow-up. I didn't have an explanation of value. I really didn't have anything but a lot of confidence that I could create value in the market. And I had a lot of energy. And so I would go places and speak. And that was my primary business, is just speaking. And then companies began to hire me to be their coach. And they said, man, I don't know what you got, but I want you to infect our people with your enthusiasm and your outlooks and your energy. And so companies started paying me six figures routinely to come in and take all of their salespeople and help them sell more. And mainly it was to activate their Pray Drive, to get them excited, to go into battle again, to teach them how to prospect, to follow up, to take initiative, stuff that seems like common sense, but it ain't common practice. And so 3 years into it, I go, man, I don't like chasing leads. I don't like trying to convince people that I'm good enough for them. What I really want to do is become a person of interest. And little did I know at that time that book would really help blow me up, because life is hard when you're not a person of interest. It's hard to get people on the phone. It's hard to create money. It's hard to make sales. It's hard to put strategic partnerships together. It's hard to advance. The more known you become for a skill set, the much easier it becomes to make money, number one, and much easier it becomes to open doors. and much easier it becomes to build networks. And all of that leads to monetization at some point, if you have products and services that can solve problems. So if we back up and we say, what is money? Money is energy. Money is paper that's exchanged between two people. It's created by the government. It's man-made. And it's exchanged when problems are solved. Typically, the people that get the most attention and have the most energy make the most money. And so I started going, okay, how do I become a person of interest? And so remember, I'm 3 years into building the business, probably just made $100,000 of personal income in my third year. And I started studying people of interest. And I go, okay, what do people of interest have? Why am I paying certain people? Like I had a coach and I was paying $6,000 to $10,000 a year for a coach. And this is back when I didn't have a lot of money. So that was a lot of money. And I'm like, what do these people have that I'm paying for, that I'm interested in? And what makes them interesting? And I said, because they're all interesting people. They're living fascinating lives. They're hanging around fascinating people. They're doing fascinating things. And it's like, I had enough guts to pay the money to get in a room with these people and go, okay, what are they doing? And I started really figuring out they had certain attributes, certain knowledge. So if we look at cash, Sullivan always talked about two types of cash. There's KASH, knowledge, skills, attitudes, habits. They had certain knowledge. They had certain skills. They had certain attitudes about things that were very different than the way I was raised, than the people I was hanging around. They had different attitudes about money. They had different attitudes about effort. They had different attitudes about in season and out of season. And they definitely had different habits. The way they activate their prey drive, the way they call people, the way they follow up. So I really started studying people of interest, and I just made up my mind that I'm going to become one of these people. I'm like, I'm going to become a person of interest, right? And how do they do it? How does a guy have a private jet? How does a person have multiple homes? How does a person generate a multi-million-dollar business? How do they have a television show? Whatever it is. And I'm like, what do they do? And so I really started studying, and I figured out they had these things. Okay. So I'm going to give you the ingredients that I found when I made a decision I wanted to be a person of interest. And number one, they had very specific knowledge. They were not generalist. So I want you to think of a generalist as a person that makes general money. Okay. When you're a generalist, you're not a specialist. So think of a doctor, just a regular doctor, an MD, and maybe he or she makes $150,000 a year. And then think of a heart surgeon that may make $1 million a year. Okay. And now I coached one of the top doctors in the world in Houston, Texas, and he owned a $25 million cash-based wellness center. Pay in cash, pay in full at the point of service. And it was like going to the Ritz-Carlton. You didn't feel like you were at the doctor. The doctors wore suits, the nurses wore suits, high-end everything. They bring fruit in there to you while they're taking your blood. Like, it's crazy. It's like you're not going to the doctor, you're going to the Ritz-Carlton. And you have to remind yourself you're at the doctor, right? Think of most doctors' offices, sterile, miserable, everybody's unhappy, the people, right? It's totally different. So when I was coaching this guy, he said to me one night at dinner, he said, man, I'm a great doctor, but I'm an even better marketer. And I started thinking, how many doctors are good at marketing? Which is why they don't make $1 million or 2 million or 5 million a year. They make 150,000 a year. So he said, I'm a great doctor. I'm a better marketeer. That's what he called it. I'm a better marketeer. So think of people of interest as they have a primary skill, and that skill is in very much demand. They're very good. My skill is the monetization of a talent. Okay. It took me to about 41 years old, but I know how to teach people how to use their skills to make more money. That's what I've really done for Bruce. It's what I did for almost all the top insurance people I've ever coached, all the top financial advisors. They come to me and they say, I want to become a person of interest. And I go, okay, what's your specific skill? What is your number one skill? What problem does it solve? Is it a small problem or a big problem? Okay. You got to remember the guy who created the explanation of service, Tom Loves, sells whole life insurance. And he came to me and he said, man, I got to quit selling insurance and start selling a strategy. And he came to that conclusion after he read the book Person of Interest. Listen to what he said. I got to quit selling insurance because that's a commodity. And I got to start selling a strategy. And his income went from 400 to 800 to 1.2 to, I think it ended up about 3.5 million a year selling whole life insurance. Okay. It's just insurance, but it had to do with, he became a specialist at articulating a strategy to shelter money off the radar screen of the IRS legally. That's really what he became a specialist at, explaining a strategy. Okay. And the whole concept of the explanation of service actually originated by him reading Person of Interest. He actually bought a bunch of books, take them around the country and sold them to people. And he said, listen to what he said after reading this book: I don't want to chase people to sell them insurance. I want to attract people to me because I'm a specialist. I'm a specialist at sheltering money off the radar screen of the IRS legally. I'm a specialist at how money works, understanding how money works. I'm a specialist at helping you, whatever, become your own banker. You guys know all the terms: becoming your own banker, infinite banking system, debt, whatever people want to call it. But that's the specific knowledge. It's not general. Okay. So if I ask you today, what are you a specialist at? They just hired Hugh Freeze at Auburn. He's a good friend of mine and Eric's. They paid him $6 million. Okay. And for one reason, the dude's an offensive genius. There's nobody who's better at scoring in the red zone once they get the ball within the 20-yard line than Hugh Freeze. He beat Saban twice at Ole Miss. He knows how to score a lot of points, and he knows how to put people in the stands. He took Liberty University and put him in, win X number of games in the Power Five. The dude's a specialist. That's why he just made $6 million going to Auburn. And he is incredible at recruiting. And if you've ever been around the dude, I mean, he is incredible with people. I mean, it is amazing to watch how good he is. So I'm excited about watching him take Auburn and turn it into a national powerhouse. And he will, because he's that good. Okay. Now, number two, they have impeccable skills. So think of it like this. There's people who are skilled. They got a specific knowledge, and then they have some type of impeccable skill. So it's like, think of this fundamental relationship between your skill and someone else's ambition. Okay. People always ask me, what's my favorite book about money or sales? Oddly enough, it's a little book called Total Cash Confidence by Dan Sullivan. It's the best book I've ever read on sales. And what, you know why? It says confidence comes from your knowing that you can help another person reach their dreams. Okay. You don't wake up, focus on making money. You wake up and you focus on helping other people with their ambitions. And the more people you help move from A to B in their life, typically the more money you make. And that's what he called total cash confidence. And anytime I think about money, man, and I start having these thoughts, man, it's hard to make money. It's really hard right now to make money. It's how everybody's saying it's hard to make money because of the economy, because of this. I start going, no, there is no shortage of money. There is no shortage of people. There is a shortage of initiative. There's a shortage of skill. There's a shortage of follow-up. There's a shortage of activity, but there sure as heck ain't no shortage of money. Okay. The government pumped 40% more money into the United States in the last year than any other year we've ever had, guys. There is no shortage of money circulating. And if you think we're in a recession, come to Nashville on a Friday night and let me take you down to Broadway, where there's about 100,000 people spending $1,000 on drinks and partying and alcohol. So anytime you think we're in a recession, get on a plane that's completely full, going somewhere. Go to a city on a Friday night and see how many people. Get on one of them cruise ships that's 100% sold out. Oh yeah, but we're in a recession. Remember that part? We're in a recession, but there's people spending money like crazy. I was at the Mercedes-Benz dealership yesterday. People walking around, looking at them $300,000 Mercedes everywhere, but we're in a recession. Remember that, right? So skill, your skill, 87% of people, they say, live their whole life and never find their purpose. I would tell you 87% of people have no idea what their primary skill is. What is your real talent? And can you articulate it to solve a problem for me? That I would give you money to solve that problem for me. And you're so compelling and you're so good that I go, okay, you're the right person for this. So people of interest are really known because they have a skill. Okay. Tom Cruise makes 30 million a film because he does his own stunts. He's that good, flying around in the jets. I mean, come on, man. How many actors can do that? Okay. So my point is, people of interest have a skill. That's number two. Number three, this ties into the new book. They have a lot of prey drive. Okay. Prey drive is instinct. An animal has a prey drive. It's the animal's instinct to pursue the prey. Okay. And what I find in people is that they're tired and worn out and frustrated, and they don't pursue opportunity. They don't get up and really pursue opportunity. Bruce, I'm thinking about doing this next year when we open this greatness factory. People come in and do field trips and come in and work with us for a day. And let me just run them through the ringer of how hard they should be working at a business, how many phone calls they should be making, how much follow-up they should really do. I'm talking about really show people what intensity looks like, right? Because I learned that by being a basketball coach. And I got into the business world and nobody had any intensity. They didn't have any targets. They didn't have any goals. They didn't make enough calls. They didn't follow up. I was like, man, what do y'all do? What's everybody do around here? Well, they don't do much. So prey drive is instinct to keep going until you close the deal. Okay. Now, some of you guys are in the financial services business. And here's what I find. Here's what I found with a lot of financial advisors I use. They always leave it up to me. They never push. They never follow up. They never see it through to its conclusion. Okay. I told my own insurance agent, I have an insurance agency now. I have 2 agencies, but I told my old insurance agents that I needed some more life insurance one day, that I didn't have enough life insurance. And he never called me back. He never called me back and said, how much more do you need? Or maybe he said, I think you need this much. He never followed up with me one time. And I'm like, do you sell life insurance? Did I tell you that I needed more life insurance? Would you make a commission if you sold me more life insurance? Yes. Okay. Then where's the prey drive to follow up, to see it through to its conclusion? So I want you to think of prey drive as instinct to pursue and see something through to its logical conclusion. So you go 7 to 15 touches, 80% of the time. National average is 1.8 follow-ups. Okay. So, Brad, I went and looked at some cars yesterday because I'm taking one of my cars and taking it to Florida. And so I went to the Mercedes dealership to look at some cars. Guy showed me a $250,000 Maybach, where you ride in the back and, you have a driver and everything like they do in New York City. And then he showed me a $150,000 S-Class. And his follow-up today was a text message that said, what do you think about that? What do you think, coach? That was his follow-up. And I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Okay. He could have said, coach, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like it? Are you willing to invest this much money in a car? Does this solve a problem for you? Why are you taking one car to Florida? What kind of car would you like? Is it all about gas mileage to you? Is it about, looking good in it? Are you going to have a driver to drive you around? Like, he could ask me 100 questions, but he didn't. So I leave there going, is that the car I want? Do I really want to do that? It's a lot of money. What's the reason I'm even buying a car? Is it a tax burden? Like, it was terrible. It was terrible. And the dude's making commissions off selling cars. So prey drive is instinct to follow up, guys, on deals, on opportunity, on partnerships, on potential. And this is lacking in our country. Trust me. Okay. People just don't have it. They do not follow up. Okay. And so 1.8 times is typically what they go. And then they say, well, it's hard to make money right now. And I'm like, well, you're not really working that hard to make money. So the way you recession-proof a business is you work every day as if you're in a recession. You go to bed tired, you wake up hungry, you go to bed broke. That's what you need to do. Okay. All right. Number 4 is confidence, but we're going to call this contagious confidence. People of interest don't just have confidence. They have conviction. They have courageous confidence. See, in the new book, I go into the habits of the top 1% of performers. Forbes commissioned a study on the top 1% of financial advisors. Number 1, they found out during COVID, the best ones made more money. The worst ones played more golf. Okay. They found out during COVID that during the COVID period, many of them contracted, but not the best ones. The top ones still found a way to make money. And what they did is they studied the top performers of the top 1 to 3% of financial advisors, and they found that they all had remarkable boldness. They had deep intrinsic motivation. I call big because goals. They had great connection skills. They treat everybody like family. Number 4, they had grit and resilience. And number 5, they had the ability to lock in, which is prey drive. Okay. It is the ability to see something through. Now, what's funny is they did that study last year during COVID. When I wrote Person of Interest, I put all those ingredients in there. I wrote that book 7, 8, 9 years ago. It's almost identical. If you look at the ingredients of a person of interest and the ingredients of a top 1% performer, last year, the top 1% in the United States made $547,000. Okay. So 547 puts you in the top 1% last year as a, based on what Forbes says. A couple of years ago, it was 347,000. So people are making more money. And in 2016, there were X number of millions of people that became millionaires, and only 4,000 people climbed Mount Everest. So when you look at it, it's much easier to be a millionaire than it was to climb Mount Everest. Now, when you think about this concept, what are you really attracted to when it comes to being attracted to a person? Is it not their remarkable boldness? Is it not their grit and resilience? Is it not their intrinsic motivation? Is it not their connection and how they make people feel? Is it not their, right? Because what I really did for Bruce is I helped him find his talent, get clear on who he is and what he has to offer, but more importantly, help him think bigger. I think what I really did is activate his prey drive. He got in better physical shape. He lost a bunch of weight. He looks 100 times better. No offense, Bruce, but you look a lot better, and you got a lot more energy. And what I really do for him is I activated his prey drive to do what? Become a person of interest. That's really what I did for him. Okay. Now you could sum all the coaching up and all the coaching sessions and all that in that simple thing. Now, you know why? Because I got a boatload of confidence. And you know where that confidence comes from? 30 years of coaching people, 30 years of studying human behavior, 30 years of helping activate prey drive in people. So when you're looking at you, I want you to step back for a second, and I want you to say, because this is what I used to do, man, what am I missing? Out of these ingredients that people have, I need some more boldness. I'm starting to get bolder. If you follow me, you'll see me get bolder. I spent 6 months with a coach helping me get better at connection to people. It was very valuable. Grit and resilience, I got it. Confidence, I got it, but I could always be more confident. And so this is how you need to be thinking. Like, what's keeping me from being a person of interest and attracting people? Now, there's 2 ways to build business. You can chase leads. I know in the financial services or insurance business, a lot of people buy leads. My goal is to attract leads for people to actually pay me for the lead. So what I try to do is create concepts that people may pay low ticket, $97, $47, or free webinars or anything that I can, so that I'm not having to chase people. I'm actually attracting large numbers of people, and we're going through that volume. And then we're finding out who's the Navy SEALs and who's the baby SEALs, right? We're really finding out who's serious and who's not serious. And that's just the strategy I've taken. So when I wrote Person of Interest that you guys are reading, I wrote it from this perspective of I'm not a person of interest. I'm trying to become a person of interest. And so all I did was study what people of interest do. And I go, man, they got incredible skill. They got specific knowledge. They got a very high prey drive, and they got a boatload of confidence. Okay. And that's ultimately why we're attracted to them. Okay. And when you're in a commoditized world like financial services, and you're selling a product that's commodity, insurance, financial services, tax planning, whatever, then what really separates you? It could come down to the other ingredients I wrote in the book, likability. It could come down to connection, connectivity. It could come down to something about you that I just choose to do business with you versus other people. Could come down to, I just think you're authentic and you're real and you really want to help people. Right now, I want to give you an example of a financial kid I used out of my hometown of Woodbury, Tennessee. Great. Love the kid. Great manners, good looking. And I gave him a chance to manage some of my money, about $300,000. And I never could figure out, am I making any money, not making any money? Are we aggressive? Are we like, it's like, give me some counsel and guidance here. Bring some strategy to the equation. Like, that's what I'm paying you for. Like, don't just let me tell you what to do. You're supposedly the expert. I gave you 300 grand. Show me how to make money with this 300 grand. Okay. And I'm confused. So likability got him in the game, but performance kept him out of managing any more money for me. And I like him, but it's like, I don't understand what you're really doing here. Like, bring a strategy, bring an idea, bring a concept, bring something. Don't just wait on me to call you to say, hey, how's my money doing? Oh, it's doing good. Yeah, it's doing good, right? That's not what big time people are looking for. Remember when I tell you this, big time people are looking for people to walk into their lives and significantly move the needle in their life. Not kind of move the needle. Like, I hired you and I made $3 million more. Let me give you an example. I hired 2 kids out of Houston, Texas, named Natalia and Caleb. They had a very special skill set in doing virtual events. I did 4 virtual events and brought in $2 million more from 4 virtual events this year. So when I start thinking about people who move the needle, I'm like, damn, they're good. Like, they brought us $2 million more to the equation that we didn't have. That is a skill set. That's a person of interest status. Like, I hired you and I made $2 million more. But see, so you got to think people of interest are able to like pop in, move the needle, and they move the needle so much they become must-haves versus nice-to-haves. Okay, nice-to-haves get cut. Must-haves never get cut. And really, in today's economy, the first people to go will be the people who don't create enough value. Okay, and I had this discussion with one of my former employees once because he got laid off from a company. And he kept telling me how good he was. And I said, look, the reason you got laid off because you wasn't that good. Right. If you were that good, you wouldn't have got laid off, because they had to keep somebody to run the company and they chose not to keep you. Okay. So it's not that you're a bad person, but you're not as good as you think you are. Okay. Because I'm telling you, when people contract, they will get rid of the dead weight. And you want to make sure that you're not at the top of the chopping block right there. So that's kind of person of interest, Bruce, in a nutshell. Let's go to work on these ingredients. Jim Rohn said, to attract other people, we must become attractive. To attract other people, we must become attractive. And that's not in how good looking we are, handsome or beautiful. It is truly in the energy and the skill set you bring to the equation and how you really solve problems. Money changes hands when problems are solved. The bigger the problem, the more money people pay to solve that problem. Okay. So when you're thinking, people have all kinds of confusion about what to do with their money. Right now they have tax issues. Wealthy people have tax issues. They're trying to figure out what to do, how to plan. Most accountants are drastically underprepared to counsel people. They don't have a real tax strategy, and it creates an enormous amount of anxiety in people, especially at the end of the year when they're trying to figure out what to do. And they're looking for a tax expert to like give them some counsel. So David Perez, who's one of my students who used to be just an accountant, is now coaching accountants. And he said something to me yesterday. He said, here's what's interesting. High pay drive people make money and turn it over to low pay drive tax accountants. Isn't that funny? High pay drive people go out and make money. Then they give all their money to a low pay drive tax person that ain't aggressive, that don't really, right? And he's like, they're not giving them any strategies. They're not really helping them. They're not bringing a solution to the problem. And I thought, you're exactly right. He's a very aggressive tax person that's out there really trying to build a whole business around progressive strategies to help wealthy people decrease their tax burdens. Okay, now that's offense.
David's pretty intense. Coach, the epicenter of play drive, everybody pretty much here, most people that are attracted to you, I find we all have to eat what we shoot. We have to go out and we have to make hay when the sun shines. And so right then and there, the differential of the person of interest and where we are in the world of social media's phenomenon, the shift and the pivot between the Facebooks and the LinkedIns and the Twitters and Instagrams, the opportunity has surged for all of us in a way that when I started in the 80s never existed. We cold called out of a phone book. There was no social media. You had to go out and you had to shake the trees and press the flesh like a politician, and you had to get known. And so now I can sit here, create a studio, make a broadcast, make a 30-second clip, make a 45-minute show, and I can put this stuff on social media, become a person of interest, a subject matter expert, and lo and behold, my phone and texts and emails chime every day. Something comes in, whether it's the level I want, whether it's the quality of people I want, doesn't matter. Activities happening while I'm sleeping. Things are taking place. And so that's the transition. That's why I introduced the book to my group. Like-minded people, I want them to hear this message, what gravitated to me, and share what they could be doing for those who want to do it. It's obviously not always for everyone, as you know, the 80-20 rule. 20% of these people will take initiative and go do something with it. And that's who you want to work with. That's who I want to work with. And so, the power to them. 20% of the people here that I invite, right? So the other 80% decided it wasn't a priority today. And that's fine. So what worked and tied into me as the new book is coming out, and you've been talking this concept for the 2 years, is the Pray Drive. So there were a couple of triggers. You mentioned my weight loss, and embarrassment is one of your triggers. I just wanted you to share. I think there are 4 or 5 triggers for Pray Drive, so maybe kind of cover that. But one of them was embarrassment. And so I'll tie in when Coach mentioned my weight loss, is I spoke at an event. I failed forward. I signed up to speak at one of Cody Askin's events in the insurance world. I had no notion of what I want to talk about, but I was taking the idea of Coach of like, get out, just do it. One person shows up, whatever it is. So I committed, and then I created. So I gave myself 90 days to commit to the event, put my money up, create a concept, talk about that concept. I had maybe 15, 20 people in the room. Robin was there. Robin took a picture of me. And I said, holy crap, I'm a fat sausage.
Yep.
And I said, I cannot go back on a speaking circuit again looking like that. And I called Natalie, your wife, who helped me with her health program. And I started that week. And I proceeded to lose 60 pounds. And so I feel great, as you said, and the confidence level. I've always had some confidence, high confidence, but it just certainly helped off the charts to get the praise. And I held my, just FYI, person of interest, I posted weekly weight loss updates every Friday or Saturday. Here's my new picture. Here's where I started. And I held myself accountable to the recording and putting myself out there. And guess what? I had people start attracting to me, asked me how I lost the weight. I helped, if I may say, Gina's on the call. Gina reached out, hey, what are you doing? And Robin wanted to know what I'm doing. And more people started to come, and I helped them activate their Pray Drive for what they wanted for their weight loss goals. So anyway, I want to tie that in, Coach, of how it did impact me. And so why don't you, real quick, before we wrap up, I know you got to jump to another session, but give us some of the activators of Pray Drive. And then let's talk about what, if anything, you're offering people. Coach is trying to, you can talk about it. I'll tee it up for you. Coach is trying to get his new book to the New York Times bestseller list, which has certain requirements. And so it's not that I can go order 500 books and help him get there, but he actually needs individual purchases. So the 1 and the 2 is equally as important as the guy buying 250. So part of what Coach has been offering for the price of a book, and by the way, it's a discounted price of the book on Amazon, is he's offering additional coaching and sessions as a throw-in, as an incentive. So you could also speak to that, Coach, for anybody who wants to get with Eric and get the book and pick up some additional help from you. So go ahead.
Yeah, and the reason, there's a bigger reason here I'm trying to prove to people. It's not easy to hit these lists, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, but I'm trying to teach people what I'm teaching people in the book. And what I'm teaching people in the book is how to set a target and have the drive and intensity to actually do what you said you were going to do. So I set out and I said, man, I'm going to make this book a Wall Street Journal bestseller. I've never had a Wall Street Journal bestseller. I paid a guy $14,000 for 3 hours to show me how to do it. How many books do I need? It's incredibly complicated. You cannot game the system. They have set it up where you can't game the system, which is why every single book matters. Okay. But the point of it is I have 3 kids, 10-year-old, 2.5-year-old, 3-month-old. And I want to tell my kids, look, this is how you set a goal. And this is how you move toward that goal with persistence and intensity. And it ain't going to be easy. It's going to be a dogfight. I'm competing versus some of the biggest people in the world who are more known than I am, who have television shows and whatever. And I said, but I want to show my kids, you can do this. You can be a regular person in the world and set a goal and go get that goal. You can do it if you will just set your mind to it. So that's the reason I need your help in purchasing the book. And when you purchase the book, we give you a couple days coaching, 90 days of Wednesday calls with me, completely free. And we give you a full day on January 13th called Activate. I'm going to show you how to activate your Pray Drive every day. Now, to the point you asked me, is embarrassment is a strong trigger for Pray Drive activation. I guarantee every person on this call has been embarrassed by something. And when they were embarrassed by something, that created what psychologists would call a fight, a flight, or what they're saying today, a third category, which is a freeze, where you freeze up. Well, when Bruce saw that picture, it triggered, man, I'm embarrassed by my weight. It activated his drive. I'm better than this. I want to get in better shape. I want to have a better life. I want to do bigger things. So I talk about these activators of a person's drive. If you don't want anything, then the Pray Drive is never activated. The Pray Drive activates something that you want something. I want a better life. I want a better car. I want to live in a better house. I want to make more money. I want a better retirement. I want to look better. And if you never want anything, then you never activate the Pray Drive. You just keep getting what you're getting. So embarrassment is an activator of Pray Drive. Competition is an activator of Pray Drive, right? Like I was speaking the other day and I was on my coaching call with all my coaching students. Bruce is in that program. And I said, who wants to bet that I can't get 50% of the room to take action today? These are insurance agents in Texas. And it was just a friendly game of competition. Like, okay, maybe I can, maybe I can't, but I'm going to try harder because I got a little wager on it, right? Competition is an activator of Pray Drive. Fear is an activator of Pray Drive. When you are afraid of going broke, losing something that matters to you, you will take action. You will change. Okay. And so being sick and tired of being sick and tired of something is actually a good thing. Environment is an activator of Pray Drive, which is why you need to be in a coaching program where there's expectation, where somebody's holding you accountable, where there's weekly progress, where you're in a dynamic state versus static or entropic. And then exposure is an activator of Pray Drive. Showing somebody a better life. You can have a better life. See, when I was out speaking on the road early days, Bruce, I stayed in all these cheap hotels, microtels, Clarions, right? Cheap hotels, cheap free breakfast, whatever. And then as I started to get better, I started staying in nicer hotels. Then I started staying in them suites. Then I started going, now this is nice. I don't want to go back to them microtels. I don't want to go back to that Clarion. Okay. And so I started developing a higher expectation, right? And I started going, you know what? It's a better life. I feel better. I'm more energetic. They got nicer gym to work out in. They got better breakfast. You know, it's like, hey, there's a better world out here. It activated my Pray Drive. So Pray Drive is in an animal. It is the animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. If you have hunting dogs, they go pursue. Well, what I'm saying, and I actually trademarked Pray Drive in humans, so I'm the only person on the planet who can talk about it. I'm saying humans have this drive. It's not to stalk, capture, and kill. It's to pursue. Pursue what? Deals. A better life. A better future. A more, whatever it is you want to pursue, right? And it's totally up to you. There is no right or wrong. I coached a real estate agent a few years ago. He said, I want to give away $1 million a year. That's my B. That's my ultimate goal. He said, but to do that, I got to make 4 million to give away $1 million. And I said, okay, as long as I know what we're working for, what we're trying to do here. So it does not matter what your B is, your ideal outcome, that nothing happens until that Pray Drive is activated. So let me finish with this. Why do people become complacent? See, I talk about this in the book. Ask all these questions. Why do people get lazy? Why do they become complacent? Why do they quit doing things they used to do? Why do they settle for a life they have when they could have a better life? And at the end of the day, it's real simple. Satisfied needs never motivate people. Only unsatisfied needs. So the reason people settle is because they got a good life. They got a good house. They got a good job. They make a little bit of good money. And then they start getting lazy. That's the only reason people settle, folks. Okay. So something comes along in your life. I just did this with the 72-year-old in Houston, Texas. Came and saw me speak last week. He called me, said, you reactivated my prey drive. Said, I got a little lazy, got complacent, fell off the wagon. I'm ready to go now, coach. Good. All it took was 30 minutes. But it'll go away again if you're not involved in some kind of coaching program. So right now, Bruce, our coaching program is 40% off. It's $297 a month, Eric. Is that right? $297 a month.
That's correct.
And if you don't make your $297 back a month, folks, I give all your money back. Okay. Because it'd be crazy if I coached you for a year for $3,500 and you don't make a lot more money than that. Okay. And Bruce can tell you, he can tell you how much more money he's made from me coaching him, but I'm sure it ain't a little bit. So if it's something you're interested in, I'm feeling in the Santa Claus spirit this week. So I'm doing my coaching program at 40% off. It's $297. It's a 1-year agreement. And I need the year to get you. I need the year to get you where I need to get you. I can't do it in a day. I can't do it in a week. Can't do it in a month. Like, you need a long cycle with me. Bruce has been with me probably for
about 18, 19 months.
Yeah, about going on 2 years now. People who make over 500,000 with me, I've typically been their coach for at least 5 years. Okay, so just a little note for fun, and then I gotta get on. There's 700,000 people in the United States that call themselves a coach. So when you hire the coach, the question you should ask is, ask your coach how much money they make. How much money they generate, because the average income of most of those coaches is $47,000 a year. And you don't want to get business counsel from somebody making $47,000 a year. Okay. You want to get business counsel from somebody who's actually built a business and ran a business and they know how to generate income. So that's just a little disclaimer, because there's a lot of people who call themselves coaches that don't really know how to run a coaching business or run a business for that matter. Okay. Bruce, this has been fun.
Coach, I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate you being here. And again, for those who don't realize, Coach gets a minimum of $25,000 to come speak. So he has done us a tremendous honor. And so I thank you for that, for joining us today and sharing this. I'm going to share the video with the people who didn't attend, and we'll get the links out. But this is my ask. It's not Coach's ask. There's a link there. At least order the book. It's about $25 or $30 on Amazon. Help him make that list he wants to make for the bestseller list. That's really only my ask back, is if you're inclined to spend a couple bucks. When you see him at his events, he will autograph that book for you with pleasure. And as we shared, I think, Eric, there's some bonus options that will come with the book as well. You can let them know you're buying it, but certainly no obligation to buy the book. But if this is of interest to you, please do so. I got mine ordered and I'm ready for it to. I ordered it a year ago, so I'm still waiting.
The only thing Eric told me somebody was paying 25 grand for me to show up today. Eric, did you get some?
I got my wires crossed, Coach.
Eric told me Peter was paying the 25 grand. Eric said Peter.
I think the credit card number transposed. Robin, you have the card? Robin has the card, I think, Coach. I can't get it from her.
Hey, Joby's asking if she enrolls, can the book be free? I said, and Joby, if you'll enroll tonight in the Monster Program, I'll buy you a book. What about that?
That's right. There you go. See, that's the way you make a deal right there.
That's right.
Nobody's more flexible than these two.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Coach, so very much. We'll see you soon.
Pleasure.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And again, big Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Well.